Welcome back to CCity TV. We haven't been here for a little while. I promised you I'd come back a little more often, but I just don't have the time. But here we are today. We've got some time. We've got a lot of stuff to cover. My name is Stefan Roots. I'm your host. So here we go. Let's get right on it. The biggest story in Chester right now is Nicole Cogdale's win against Wet Seal. That's right. She went up against the big boys. A discrimination suit, and she won. Class action suit for her, former employees now at the company. $7.5 million was awarded to her. And I'm waiting for the parade. I'm waiting for the proclamation. I'm waiting for something to say, hey, way to go, girl. I put it out on the blog. We've got 5 comments. I put it out on Facebook. We've got 9 likes. I mean, come on, you guys. This is a huge deal. She's like the Rosa Parks of Chester right now. The win against Wet Seal is a win for everybody. Now when they start messing with you on the job site, you can say, you better watch out, boss man. I'm going to Cogdale you. Come on, let's get serious. This is a big deal. She put up the fight. She went through all the months and years of agony, but she won the fight. This isn't something that happens every day. This is historic. Come on, you guys, wake up. Let's pat her on the back. Let's give her an award. Let's say thank you for not bowing down to the nonsense that goes on the workplaces. You go through it too. Our next story is from Chester High School, the Saloon Brawl. Oh, they were throwing chairs. The keyboard killers and the mousepad mobsters told on themselves when they videotaped the fight in the library where they're throwing chairs, hitting each other all upside the head. Now this happened on the National Day of Fighting, so maybe that's why it was allowed. But a bunch of tough guys beat up on a new student right there in the library. Now, as if that wasn't news enough, apparently no one knew of the fight, despite all the blood all over the library floor, until the video went on Facebook. Now the victim saw it as, see, Mom, I told you, as he sat her down in front of the computer and watched the Facebook footage together. And then somebody called the cops, and then the cops went over to the school, and then they arrested the guys. Now, it's obvious to me that you've got to stop taking these cell phones from these children when they go into the schools. You really should be giving them cell phones with cameras, or giving them cameras. If you're not going to put a camera in the classroom, in the hallway, give the kids the camera. They love filming themselves. They love putting it on Facebook. Let them accuse themselves. It's the biggest help that the police, the parents, the students, and all of us could have. The Chester Police Department has 6 new officers from the city of Chester. Now, many of us complain that we don't see our own kind on the police force anymore, but 6 new officers, that's a big deal too. There's stuff that we just don't talk about, that we don't celebrate, well, I'm going to do it for you. That's a big deal. Let me see, I got their names here. We've got Officer Massey, Fareed, McLean, Moore, Harris, and Cottrell. Welcome to the force. In other police news, our former police chief, Darren Austin, has been demoted yet again. He's went from chief of police to some low-level supervisor in less than 18 months. But they say he can make more money now because he can get overtime. Now, I ride heavy with the police, but the management side of things over there at the police administration building, it's a little shaky right now. Which leads us to our next story about the Chester Police Evidence Room mumbo jumbo. Now, a Chester cop called me months ago and tipped me off to this whole thing, but I wasn't going to publish it because I just thought something criminal was going on, letting people into the evidence room. See, the story goes like this. We do this gun buyback thing, and then all the guns come back to the police station, and they trace them and make sure they weren't involved in any crime, and then they take them out to get melted so that they're no longer on the streets. But that apparently isn't what's happening. They're sitting in the evidence room for a long time, and somebody is letting somebody into the evidence room to fish through all these guns to pick out which guns they like or which parts from the guns they like, and then they walk out with a box or a bag of this stuff. Now, some of the cops who tipped me off said, that's not good. And apparently apparently they told some people about it, but nothing was being done. But finally the Daily Times put it out, and then we started to get a response. But the responses were quite funny. Here are 5 of the top quotes from city officials and the police regarding the evidence room policy that's in place right now. Number 5, any rule you can come up with, I can find an exception to. Number 4, the best move for a police department is to develop its own policies. Number 3, there are procedures but no policies. Number 2, there was no policy before, but we have a policy. And number 1 response to what we're going to do about this evidence room debacle. We are in the process of developing a process. I can't make this stuff up. The new Chester Upland School District. Chester High School is going to be renamed next year. It's no longer Chester High School. It's going to be the Chester Upland Education Center. And it's going to serve pre-kindergartners. They're going to have a child care. The alternative education is going to be housed in the building from Wetherell. These are the so-called bad kids who can't mingle with the regular population. Then all the 7th and 8th graders will be there. The 9th grade academy, which I don't know if that means all 9th graders or a special group of 9th graders. All 10th through 12th graders will be there. And all the big shots from the administration building are going to move to Chester High School because they sold the administration building to Widener, but they're leasing it back for $1, which makes me wonder what are they going to do with the administration building that they're leasing back to Widener for $1. But, you know, but then when they presented this whole thing to the public in some board meeting, they said, oh, this is subject to change. Which makes me wonder, why did you bring it up in the first place? Then we have a former Chester High student who went on to college, Ebony Thomas. She won some of the biggest awards, if not the biggest awards, at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. Now, I'm sure that other Chester students are standouts in college as well, but nobody lets me know about it. If you let me know, send me a photo, let me know what they do, I'll put it up on the blog. I did talk to Robert Butcher at church the other week, and he was telling me that his nephews and son, or somebody close to him in his family, they've got 2 of them have college scholarships to play college baseball down in the South. That's a big deal because black folks don't play baseball no more, but you know that Butcher family, they can hit the ball, they can catch the ball, they can throw the ball, they can play some baseball. So I'm going to try to follow up and do a story on, I got a fly in the studio, to do a story on those guys. In other sporting news at Chester High School, we're saddened to come to the realization that our beloved basketball team lost in the state finals game. But that Rondé Jefferson didn't lose. Man, that guy's been jet-setting all over the country playing in these high school all-star games and doing pretty good. He's going to be on a USA team that's playing some world team later on this summer if he hasn't done it already. So we're looking forward to that. And of course, he's going to the University of Arizona to play for, I think they were a top 5 team last year. So that should be interesting to see how he makes out there. Good luck to you, Rondé. In baseball news, I was going to start covering like other sports. Now we know the Chester High tennis team did well. I think they made it to the States. That's excellent. But the baseball team, I picked up the paper one day and they played Penwood and lost 19-2. At that point, I decided I would no longer look at a Chester box score in baseball. It's so depressing. I Can, I Will is back for another summer of youth gardening. That's right, the handful of kids from the Bennett homes work with Mike Water Ice Gray to grow and sell flowers, plants, and vegetables to the community. Now, community garden enthusiasts from outside of Chester have been looking at I Can, I Will pretty closely. One guy came up with a truckload of shovels and hoes and picks and rakes and gloves and all kind of garden tools. And they were in good shape too. There were a couple $100s of garden equipment. I expect that I Can, I Will also participate in the 4-H community garden program that they have and come back with some kind of ribbon like they do every year. And then as the summer progresses, make sure you show up to Concord and Central Avenues, where you can purchase flowers that are grown from these kids, plants that you can take back to the house, and then the food. I mean, they sell out of collard greens every week. There's tomatoes, there's cucumbers, there's everything. I don't know what special plant they're going to make this year. They've done rice, they've done cotton, they've done 8-foot zucchinis. I know they're still trying to get that 500-pound pumpkin. So let's root for those kids that they can get that 500-pound pumpkin. Come October, we're going to be checking in on that for sure. Chester's getting a couple supermarkets, and Philabundance is hiring. Now, Philabundance, way back in April of 2010, announced that we're coming to town. Now, some people got mad because Chester City and CETA gave them $100,000 toward the building of their new facility. Now, it cost them $4 million. So Philabundance went out and raised $3,900,000 to match the $100,000 that they got from Chester. And they're coming. They're coming down on 9th and Booth, and they're going to build a one-of-a-kind, first in the world, first in the country concept called a, you can't think of any other name, hybrid market. Now, Philabundance is not going to be putting in that store donated food. They have the same buying power as many of our large supermarkets. So they're going to be going directly to the food suppliers, bringing that food to the market, and selling it as close to cost as they possibly can, if not at cost. Okay? Now, if there's someone in the community who cannot afford food, they're going to have special programs for them too. So, now what is exciting people is Bottom Dollar. Bottom Dollar is a low-cost supermarket that has decided they want to come to Chester. Now, I understand they're coming with their own money too. They haven't asked Chester for anything except for permission to build on a plot of land that I think Crozier and Widener or something jointly owned, and the zoning board asked a few questions and finally granted them this space up there around 15th and Edgemont, next to the Rite Aid, I believe. Now, the only problem is the people in Nova Vista are not happy about this. They would rather this market be put somewhere else, like some empty lot near the William Penn projects or something. I don't know. They don't want to just get up out of their house and walk over to the market to get some vegetables or a gallon of milk or something. They would much rather drive to another part of town to go to Bottom Dollar. Well, look, Nova Vista, nobody's sympathizing with you right through here, so you're going to have a supermarket around the corner from your house. Sorry. Oh boy, we're still rolling here. All right, down to political news. The mayor came out with his State of the City. Did anybody see it? I mean, I sure didn't see it. And I don't think it's any fault of mine, but I don't know where to go see it. If you weren't there live, I didn't see it broadcast anywhere. I mean, you would think the mayor would want everybody in the city to know what his State of the City is. You think he might have a showing at City Hall, or maybe show it at the library, or maybe put it on public access TV, or maybe do like they used to do, have that movie in the park, where people can come and see things. Maybe even do bootleg DVDs of State of the City and sell it in the barbershops and the beauty salons. What do you think about that idea? Now, Shep Gardner, he took shots at it. He apparently was there, and he was like, look, come on, Mayor. You're talking about we, the Republicans, left the Democrats with a broke city. But there was $5 million in some kitty somewhere that we still haven't heard the mayor respond to. And then Shep was curious about this port that the mayor is talking about. He wants to bring a port to the city, but it's going to cost like $400 million to even build a port. So he's looking for some plans or some details regarding that. I'm curious where you want to even put a port, because we don't have a lot of room down there on the riverfront. But who am I to say? If the mayor says he's coming with a port, we're going to have a port. Personally, I would love to see some paddle boats, or place to go fishing or sailing or kayaking. Let's have some fun on the river while we figure out this port thing. We got a river and we don't even use it. Okay, the crazy story was that the district attorney came down to Chester and was knocking on doors trying to get some evidence about somebody who killed somebody, because they had to let the guy that they did arrest out of jail because he was too short. Oh yeah, this poor brother spent 10 months in jail because he had the same facial features as the real criminal, but the FBI found out, it took him 10 months to figure this out, he was too short. I think the guy is suing, and rightly so. And then right next door, we've got Juicy J. Cirillo, the mayor of Marcus Hook. He's the same guy who brought our beloved state rep, Thad Kirkland, up on ethics charges when he was running against him for state rep. But man, talk about ethics. Old Juicy J was allegedly drinking and shooting and damn near kidnapping. His ethics are now in question for sure. And we're going to wrap this up with, the loss of my dad. Those of you who saw the last issue of CCity TV saw that he had announced a scholarship in his own name, and me and some of his boys, we're going to make sure that scholarship comes to pass. So I'm looking for your support with that. And the other death in the community was John Doggy's shop. For those of you for years have been with the boss, with the sauce, yeah, it's true. The owner just said, I'm out. So we no longer have hot dogs. You're going to have to fry your own hot dogs at home right now and find your own little sauce to run over it. People complained that they didn't like it anyway, so obviously it was probably long overdue that the business should have been out of here. And last but not least, Entrepreneur Works, something that's near and dear to my heart. It's a organization out of Philadelphia that's been in Chester for about 10 or 11 years, teaching people like you and me how to become entrepreneurs. It's a heck of a program. The people who've been through the program know the value. The people who haven't been through the program can't understand what micro enterprise is all about. But the mayor and CETA and city council, they all work together. For those of you who don't know, they decided that there just was not enough money to go around to give Entrepreneur Works a cut of the pie this year. Chances are Entrepreneur Works are going to just pull up and go to some community that does appreciate teaching entrepreneurs how to create businesses in their own community. I hope that's not the case. I hope there's a change. I hope some money shows up from somewhere that Entrepreneur Works can get from our city. If not, that would be a heck of a loss and another tarnish on our image. I want to close out on a good note, but I can't think of anything other than, way to go, Nicole Cogdale. You are a shero in my book. All right, that's it for this episode of CCity TV. I hope you enjoyed something. I hope you learned something. I hope you were slightly entertained. We're going to try to do this again more often. Thanks again for your support. Check out the blog, chesterblog.com. Send your submissions. Send your support. Send a donation. I'll probably have a donate button up there before the summer's out. This is a labor of love, but we're gonna turn things around. Give you something more, and I'll be looking for more from you. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, rewind this thing. It might make sense the second time. I'm out. With everybody concerned about the summer coming and all the crime, we've brought in the resources. We've brought in the big dogs. We brought in the police. They came in heavy to come in on Chester the other day. All right, in reality, it's the Police Unity Tour. They ride from Jersey to somewhere down south, D.C. somewhere. They do it every year. It's a fundraiser for the police. We love having them come through town. I ride with the cops heavy.